Lean in real close here because I want to let you know something. There is a quiet exodus happening in Surrey right now that you're not even seeing. People are packing up, moving out, and it's not slowing down. Surrey has long been one of the fastest growing cities in Canada, but now families, first-time buyers, and even long-time residents are leaving in droves. Housing affordability is out of reach for so many people. Lifestyle preferences are changing, and safety concerns are driving people away from living in this city. For example, families who once saw Surrey as an affordable alternative to Vancouver are now looking at places like Vancouver Island or the interior of British Columbia because they can get way more value for their money. And if we don't address these issues, Surrey's future is at risk. As more families and hardworking individuals leave, we risk creating a city where only the wealthy can survive. This imbalance could erode the vibrant and diverse community that has made Surrey what it is today. Without a mix of people to support local businesses, schools, and services, we will see neighborhoods lose their character and sense of connection. Rapid growth without inclusivity could lead to a city of extremes, where opportunity is concentrated at the top and the heart of the community fades away. This isn't just about housing, this is about the kind of Surrey that you and I want. When I first started helping people like you buy homes in Surrey, I worked with a lot of first-time buyers who were so excited about the community. But for the last few years, it's been mostly people that have either been upsizing, trading real estate, or really people just looking to generally get out of the community altogether. It's really tough watching young families and people that make this community so great leave this city for other areas of Canada or the province. We're losing really good people to places like Calgary, Alberta, or Vancouver Island, or the interior of British Columbia. And I'm going to share with you the top 3 reasons why I see so many people leave our community. And that's likely a good reason that you're watching this video as well, because when you are moving into an area, well, you want to make sure that you get it right. That's a great reason why if you are moving into this community, you can contact us and our real estate team in the description below. We've got our information. We'll help you get the information you need to make the right decisions. Or if you simply want to download a copy of our 21 grants and rebates that are available to home buyers and homeowners, well, you can also get that in the description below. So please make use of it if you think it'll be valuable. Reason number 1 of why we see so many people leaving the city of Surrey, well, it's overcrowding and development. Surrey has experienced significant growth in the recent years, leading to increased development and a sense of overcrowding among its residents. In fact, according to Statistics Canada, between 2016 and 2021, Surrey's population grew by 9.7%, reaching 568,000 residents. This growth rate surpasses the provincial average and contributes to the city's rapid urbanization. If you're a frequent watcher of this YouTube channel, you've heard us say many times that the population of Surrey is actually projected to overtake that of the most populous city of all of British Columbia, Vancouver, by the year 2029. Now, I had said the word urbanization. What does urbanization even mean? It simply means the process of making an area more urban. So this population growth, well, it leads to urban development. Why is that important? To accommodate the growing population, Surrey has seen extensive construction of residential and commercial properties. While this development aims to meet housing demands, it has led to increased traffic congestion, incredibly strained public services, and a departure from the quieter suburban lifestyle that many residents previously enjoyed. It's just getting busier and busier and busier. You can't drive anywhere without hitting construction multiple times, and that little quaint city of Surrey feel, it's no longer here. It's gone. And that kind of leads us to number 2 on our list. And that is many people just feeling an incredible disconnection from their communities. So what do I mean by this? Well, as Surrey's demographics evolve, some longstanding residents have expressed challenges in adapting to the rapid changes within their communities. Surrey's growth has brought vibrant diversity, with recent immigrants accounting for 7% of the city's population and contributing to 78% of its total population growth between 2016 and 2021. Now, this has enriched Surrey's cultural landscape, making it one of Canada's most dynamic and exciting cities. But if you can for a moment, imagine living in a community where one of the 2 primary languages of the official languages of Canada is really rarely heard. In some communities, English and French, well, they're certainly not the languages that you're going to frequently hear being spoken in places like malls, on the streets, coffee shops, etc. etc. While this diversity adds richness to daily life, the rapid pace of change can sometimes challenge existing social networks, particularly for longstanding residents who may feel a sense of unfamiliarity in neighborhoods that once felt deeply personal. For some, this adjustment can lead to a feeling of disconnection, prompting them to seek environments where they feel more rooted and connected. It's important to note that this dynamic, it's not about dividing people or division. It's about finding balance. Surrey's strength lies in its ability to adapt and grow together. But for some individuals, the decision to leave Surrey often reflects a more deeper need that they don't feel like they belong in the community that they once did. They feel like they don't belong, they feel like they don't have the familiarity with the community, and they don't have the community support that they once felt they had. Number three on our list, however, is probably almost bigger than the first two and bigger by a long shot. And that is just simply the escalating house prices that didn't used to be a thing for the city of Surrey, but now certainly is a very real fact. Surrey was once seen as an affordable escape for families and first time buyers fleeing the high costs of areas like Vancouver and Burnaby. It offered larger homes, more space, and a chance to build a life without breaking the bank. But that affordability has really changed dramatically in the last few years. Over the past decade, Surrey has transformed into a highly desirable market, driving prices to levels that many no longer can afford. As of December 2024, the benchmark price for a detached home in Surrey was north of $1.6 million, a townhome north of $850,000, and an apartment coming in just shy of $525,000. Now, while Surrey is still seen as largely affordable in comparison to areas like Vancouver and Burnaby, these numbers don't just reflect the local demand, but also the spillover from those communities because it's still affordable from people coming from there. But for someone moving in or just getting started, this makes it really, really difficult to own real estate in the city. So, interestingly enough, the pattern of people moving from Vancouver and Burnaby into the area has kind of reversed because instead of many people moving in, there's many people that are moving out. And I'm talking about lots. And these people are going to more affordable areas of maybe the lower mainland or other areas of British Columbia or even into areas like Alberta. These are people leaving Surrey in search of more budget friendly alternatives where they as homebuyers can often find larger homes, more land, and simply a lower cost of living. For many young families and first time homebuyers, the idea of owning a detached home in Surrey is just simply out of reach. This shift not only drives residents away to other areas, but also changes the fabric of our neighborhoods and not necessarily for the best. And Surrey's rising costs of real estate has created a ripple effect, forcing people to make really tough decisions about the communities that they're going to call home long term or what compromises they're willing to make to stay in the community. Those are the top three reasons that I see as a real estate professional. And of course, worth mentioning if you are someone looking to relocate into the area of Surrey or White Rock, please consider giving our real estate team a call. You'll find our information in the description below. Or we've also made available a document called 21 Grants and Rebates that are available to home buyers and home owners right now. Well, you can grab that in the description below as well. So please make use of that free tool. But I didn't give you the whole story in this video because Surrey's not all bad. It has its challenges like every other municipality on planet Earth. There's no doubt that that's happening everywhere. But there's also lots of really good things to consider about living in Surrey as well. And it's only fair that you hear both sides of the story. That's why you're going to want to check out this video coming up next. Why so many people are choosing not only to move to Surrey, but also to call it their long-term home this year because of these 5 things I share in the video coming up next. So I'll see you over on the next video. Cheers. So what is it like to live in Surrey? First, we're going to start with an overview of Surrey.